focus. Ideate, innovate, enable.
The India Brand Licensing Summit's first edition was held in Mumbai recently to explore the driving factors in changing dynamics of brand licensing sector. The high-level executive conference was a perfect platform for networking. Here are the highlights of the conference.
I welcome you to this very first annual India Brand Licensing Summit 2017. To commence this day, let's welcome Rutika, Malaviya.
We in the licensing industry really needed this kind of an conference where we educate and spread the knowledge as to how the brand licensing and extension works, the way consumer products are moving, the way licensing industry is growing worldwide and especially in India. I am really very thankful for all the people, all my sponsors, whoever have supported us, being the first time event. Thank you so much, and I'm really overwhelmed with the support I've got from the industry for this kind of initiative. All speakers are the experts, I would say the mavens in the licensing industry, and they have been practicing licensing for like 10 years, 12 years, for the decades almost, and shedding a light on how they are conducting this licensing and the way they are taking their brands ahead in the licensing is really something that we would look upon to. Thank you so much, everyone.
Please welcome Rohit Sopti.
My personal endeavor from last 10 years is to build this community stronger, apart from anything else that I have done in my corporate life and as being entrepreneur. So, because I believe in the power of licensing, I think it's a very powerful medium. It started in as a US phenomena about 70 years back, and we have caught up to it from since 1995 when Disney first started their operations with Tata and Titan here. And from last 10 years, the focus is how we can create an IP and how we can monetize IP. That's what I think 24 hours a day. Having incubated the business of merchandising at Yashraj Films, when we started it was -10. Because when we used to go to market, people say Bollywood nahi bikega. There is a love story 2050 sword in the market. There is a Govinda ki film ka merchandise. And starting from there and understanding what will work, whether a Shah Rukh Khan face will work, whether a DDLJ logo will work or a thematic theme will work. To learning that and crafting that and build a business about $10 million in about 3 years was a fascinating journey for myself.
And I'm going to call upon our next speaker now. May I please call upon Mr. Safir Anand here.
There's a very interesting transformation that is happening for some of us on the legal side. We started off as you would know, most of the lawyers, you're supposed to wear a black coat, a white shirt, a band, wear very formal grey or black pants, go to court and things of that sort. And in the last few years, the role has become more of a thinker rather than a person who's coming to solve a legal problem. And therefore, there's a little bit of this migration that is happening on the legal side from being lawyers to becoming more of strategists. The interesting part of this transformation is that it is a confluence of several synergies at play. Lawyers historically are terrible managers. They are very good at opinion making, and they get too empowered by the thought process of saying yes and no, and then being quite adamant about their answers. But the practical way businesses run is that they don't need just textual answers or answers out of the act. They need more practical solutions, and lawyers are now migrating to the role of strategist. And the interesting part is that when intellectual property's value grows, as it has been growing, partly because of capital market, partly because of merger and acquisitions, partly because of private equity, royalties, income tax, related party transactions, transfer pricing, internal benchmarking of valuation norms, and many other forms, including new discoveries of intellectual property. When the value of intellectual property grows, then it becomes the interaction of the lawyer is no longer limited to the legal team. In fact, in the last several client interaction that we've had, it's been at almost at a board level. The interesting part of a board is that you have people on the board that come from different disciplines. So you have a person who's from a finance background, a marketing background, one guy whose job is to look at risk, one guy's job is to look at regulatory compliance, and of course legal and other things. And now they want a single package answer. They say, give us an answer that sort of falls within the ambit of all this. And therefore, lawyers are being forced to wear multiple hats and sort of resolve that.
Now, our next speaker, Mr. Sanjay Vakharia. May I please have you on stage here?
What I over here would like to put across is that whether you are a licensee or a licensor, the complications in the markets are becoming much more larger. And I feel that times are here where people have to concentrate on something which they're good at. So if it's a manufacturer, it makes more sense to really work hard on manufacturing and building efficiencies in his area of expertise, and probably look at a licensed brand which can help you market versus trying to do everything over here. At Spiker, what we tried to do from the day one is that we try to build a brand, build a proposition probably on which one can really engage consumers through various product categories, through various activations, and a much more sustainable model versus just trying to probably create the best probably products or looking at products as a commodity. I don't know, the audience out here is a mix of what's more out here, is licensee or a licensor, but in whichever ways it is, I think for a successful license to be there out there in the market, we need to have the best probably distribution, the best possible inputs on product, everything that probably is needed to run a normal business. There's nothing different between a licensing business versus a normal business, because your primary ingredients are the same.
Brand managers also share their insights on what they are doing to leverage licensed brands to succeed in the global marketplace.
We believe that the movie is the first and foremost big blockbuster which would bring a character out, and then yes, it's going to be the trend in the market, it's going to take ahead, it's going to kind of boom the business, and that's a liking which everybody has. But our experience says that the movie characters are very short-lived, very, very short-lived. The money, the business to be put on that, you should put on. It's not that you should not put on, but from your business model, you should choose what characters you want to choose, whether you want to choose a movie base or whether you want to choose a serial base, which is continuously running on air at the prime time every day, 5 days of the week, and repeat on Saturday and Sunday. So that's how you choose a character. That's how you should be choosing a character. That's where you will get a consistent connect. The movie is there today. Today's movie shelf life is very limited. Let's say about 2 weeks maximum. It's there on the screen, and then post that it is gone. And the memory of that is, I think, so not more than a month. 2 months, let's say, it drives it through. Post that what? You are forgotten. Everybody's forgotten. Time flies. But the characters which are there on air, on serial, which are running back-to-back 52 episodes, you've got repeats are there, weekends it is hitting, prime time it is hitting. That would give you an impact. It's again the same marketing strategy. What is hit on the head continuously, it stays there, it drills in there. That's what stays in the kid's mind, and that's where the liking comes. That's where companies like Tom and Jerry, Warner Brothers, they're making tremendous money out of the licensing model. Why Warner Brothers, Tom and Jerry is working for them? Why Superman, Batman is not working out much for them? Similarly is for a few other characters which just came and just left from the movie aspect, and then, a serial aspect. Beyblade was a serial. It was a very successful serial. It had the highest TRP in 2006, 2007, back-to-back 2 years. I mean, that's a big achievement for a brand, for a character to carry it on for 2 years.
I feel that modern day business is all about collaborations, partnerships, joining hands, trying to extract the best out of each other, trying to make use of the strengths that we possess, along with joining other forces. And I think, in a way, licensing is a way to grow really fast, both for the licensee and the licensor, because the licensee gets a ready-made model to plug and play, and a licensor gets potential partners to expand or grow their business. I would like to share the story of being human and how it started and what was instrumental in making this brand to bring it to a place where it is today. I come from a textile background. We are a parent company, Mandana Industries, manufactures textiles. We export apparel. We export to marquee brands around the globe. And having acquired all those strengths within us of creating a product, manufacturing abilities, understanding the business of fashion, working with the best retailers across the globe, I think it gave us a lot of perspective into this business already. So we were possessing that knowledge within us through working with all these marquee labels over a period of time. And in 2010, our group wanted to make a move forward and do something more, do something to expand our horizons and expand our business. And we realized that the Indian market was really booming and bursting. I think it was the birth of the new economy in India, having 65% of population which is below the age of 35, making it the youngest nation in the world. Obviously, the consumer market was, booming. Lots of malls came into picture, and a lot of them failed because modern retailing was all new to India.
Labs and CNBC also conducted a character meet where experts from varied fields met and interacted with each other. In the concluding session, the eminent speakers from retail discussed the trends and opportunities of retail sector.
My first question to Mr. Hitesh, representing RAI, the Retail Association. What is the current retail trend in India and what are the opportunities?
If you look at what's happening in the current Indian retail scenario, the Indian retail industry is approximately around $650 to $700 billion. Various reports have quoted this amount. This is the overall industry. If you look at the organized sector, organized would be close to around 10 to 12% or 12 to 13%, the numbers floating. And the rest is the unorganized sector. In that, the contribution of e-commerce over the last year have gone up tremendously. 2016-17 numbers for e-commerce would be around $12 to $14 billion. And we are looking at around $50 to $55 billion of e-commerce business in 2020-21. So this being the size and the scope and the opportunity of Indian retail, there are certain other drivers that are, the trends that we see in the last couple of years in various segments from various perspectives, whether it's the retailer, whether it's the consumer or from the ecosystem partners. Today, the biggest change that is going on and the trend that we see is the digitalization. One of the biggest trends that I can see here is that what is your digital age? Because in India, the internet users are growing at a pace that by 2021, India is going to overtake G7 countries in the internet users.
Right. I want to know, you represent Hypercity, you work for them, and tell me, how does Hypercity work? How do you operate? What are the parameters that you evaluate various products, or what characters or what products you need to put on the shelf, how much space you have to give, what are the SKUs, how do you plan all of that?
As a retailer, literally on a weekly basis, we've got at least 10 to 15 vendor partners, licensees coming and meeting us and showing us a lot of products. So as a retailer, the biggest constraint that a retailer faces is the space. Now, space is limited. N number of options is brought to us. What do we keep and how do we keep is the biggest question. So the first starting point for us is the quality of the product. Before that, the target segment that we are targeting, we also like to see like whether that particular licensee or whether the particular property or whether the particular range is relevant for my target audience or not. So that's the starting point. So once we say, okay, fine, this is a character, it is doing very well, the property is very, very strong, say on television, and children are hooked onto the property, then we see, okay, what is the range extension that we can do in the range that we're currently carrying. Now, if the quality of the product that is being offered is not good, be it the strongest properties, maybe a Barbie, which is the strongest property for a girl, if in case the product is not good, it will not sell. So the first and foremost thing is the product quality.
Manish, I would like to know your take on this. Raymond spoke from the character licensing perspective, consumer products. How about you? How does it work? What are your challenges and how are you overcoming those challenges in the fashion and apparel business?
I think today is the world of fast fashion. I think the way trends are changing and you need to adopt yourself and build in that supply chain system into your business. Malls are often visited every weekends by families, youngsters who are the main shoppers, and they walk into a store, and if they find the same stuff next week or a week after that, they will not get excited. So you need to keep on, you need to plan yourself well in terms of how you can keep turning around your merchandise faster, especially when you're dealing in fashion. I think all you need to do is turn around trends very, very fast. You need to make sure that your visual merchandising in your store is very inviting, because you're one amongst the crowded space in a mall where every brand is doing their best to invite a client or engage him into a purchase. Also, modern day retail is also all about offers, all about exciting deals that you can create for a client. It could be, a certain gift voucher, or it could be a certain contest that you're running. So your easel should always have something that will make a client stop there and get to know more about it, so that what he can get extra.
Vishal, you have been on both the sides, being a retailer as well as now on the licensing front.
Yes.
So how is that experience different, and what are you doing in the houseware sector?
So being on the retailer side and licensing, I think it really gives a great insight to understand and crack the market, because when I was a category head with Future Group and Shoppers, and I could recall licensing pitch presentations happening, and people would show some fancy films and very impressive, and then ultimately we used to come to wear the product and margin, and there were no answers. And as retailers, we said, when brands are giving ready-made products, what is it that they are trying to sell us? Because they were pitching retailers as a retailer to take the license and make it. But the people who were approaching us were typically from an ad sales background and not had much perspective in terms of a retailer's requirement. And the pitch was again more skewed from a marketing engagement. And as retailers, I think I could see other retailers also doing promotional licensing and very activation led, where some characters would come, and it was more consumer engagement than the product.
Currently in India, licensing industry is somewhere around $1,230 million, but it is expected and it is growing at the rate of 4.4%. And it's one of the most booming market, because today we see that, right from the biggest of the brands like Viacom to HUL, P&G, Godrej, General Electronics, to Audi, all of them participate into this brand extensions and consumer products. But at the same time, we are seeing a good boom in sports licensing and merchandising, with IPL coming into the picture, the Pro Kabaddi coming into the picture, Indian Poker League coming into the picture. Then we have movie merchandising, which is also growing quite rapidly in India.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.